Hey everybody, welcome to IACommand and another installment of IA Academy. In this video, I will be sharing all the tools and websites that I use as an Imperial Assault player, tools that I think every Imperial Assault player should know about. First off, the FFG Imperial Assault product page. This might seem very basic, but I think there are players that don't realize how many useful resources are on this page. Specifically at the bottom under support. Here you can find every rulebook that's ever been printed for the game, as well as the FAQ, which has advanced rulings and rules for specific cards and interactions. I use this page all the time when I have a rules question or I'm answering a rules question for someone else. You can't actually buy product from this page, I should just let you know. It does not mean that the product is not being printed or that Imperial Assault is no longer being printed by FFG. This is just because Imperial Assault is actually not allowed to sell Imperial Assault product from their webpage because of a licensing deal that they have with Hasbro. Because Hasbro is the company that has the license to make Star Wars board games, Fantasy Flight cannot sell any kind of board game product for Star Wars from their website. They have to distribute it through other stores. This also includes games like Rebellion and Outer Rim. You'll notice their miniatures games like Legion and X-Wing will say out of stock, whereas for their board games it says not available. So don't worry, it doesn't mean they're not available anymore, it just means you can't buy it from FFG's webpage. Next, the most useful tool that every skirmish player should be using, a list builder app. And Tabletop Admiral is still hands down the best one out there. A list builder where you can quickly toggle between content that you own in your physical collection and every possible card in the game, where you can sort cards by faction, and most importantly for me, a search function that searches by name, trait, and text. Looking for every brawler figure in the mercenary faction? Easy. Looking for every spy-only command card in the game? Just type in spy. Looking for every command card that grants movement points? You can do that too. No download or installation required, and if you make an account, you can save your list for future reference. And if you don't want to make an account, you just copy and paste the unique URL for your list into a separate word processor file. Also, the manager of the site keeps it updated with every new IACP release, which is super helpful for those playing with the IACP format. This is a great tool for new players with incomplete collections to browse upgrades and command cards they don't own and easily figure out which expansions or figure packs they should pick up to get the cards that they want for their list. Speaking of IACP, did you know that the Imperial Assault community has taken over making new content for the game in lieu of FFG's departure? The IACP website is a great resource for news about the project, about organized play events, and regular articles about game design and skirmish strategies, many of which are written by yours truly. You'll also find the official changes PDF document here, which shows all of the current IACP updated cards in the game, along with FAQs for each card. For learning about particular skirmish maps, check out the IA Skirmish Map project on GitHub, managed by NickV2002. This database has all of the skirmish maps released by FFG with the rules and setup for each mission, and they are all in high definition, which makes them perfect for printing if you want to have your own map playmats for skirmish and don't want to or can't buy the FFG playmats. Alright, let's talk about some lesser known but extremely valuable tools for any skirmish player. First off, the line of sight tool by Nick Hansen. This tool will elevate your skirmish game super quickly if you take the time to really use it. All of the current tournament maps are available in this app, and you can choose any space on the map and see which spaces can be seen from that space and which spaces can see that space, and even see both at the same time. You can block off squares to simulate a door or figure standing in those spaces, and you can place an attacker and defender square to see how line of sight can be drawn between them. I am constantly using this tool to improve my play on the different maps and figure out which squares are safe and which ones are vulnerable to my opponent if I leave my figures there. If you're trying to get better at skirmish, you should definitely be using this app while you're playing casual or low stakes practice games to help figure out line of sight. Just remember though that this app shouldn't be used during a real tournament but if you are playing a learning or casual game, go for it. Another great tool on GitHub is the attack calculator by Matt Yellen. You can plug in any different combination of dice, modifiers, surge and double surge abilities, range and defender's dice and modifiers, and get a great readout of that attack's percentages for different amounts of damage that it might deal. This is an especially great way to get a better understanding for how much damage the figures in your list are able to deal to different types of defenses, so that you're using the right attack against the right figure. It's also a great way to get a feel for how far you should be attacking with your ranged figures to make sure you've given yourself the best chance not to miss on range. Again, this tool should not be used during actual tournament play, but it's a great tool to use during your practice games, as you're still getting a feel for the different figures and their attack profiles in your list. Something that you can and should be using in tournaments is a dice reference sheet. The faces on the dice are public information, but it's a lot easier to understand the properties of each die when you can see all 6 faces at the same time laid out. My favorite tool for this is an image on the Imperial Assault wiki that shows all 6 of the game's dice laid out clearly. I am constantly referencing this image both during my games and also while I'm designing cards for the IACP, because even though I have played with these dice for years now and mostly know what they all do, I still have trouble remembering exactly which attack dice faces have certain accuracy numbers on them. Especially when you're playing online and you might not have the physical dice right next to you, having a digital reference is very important. You can easily find this image by just Googling Imperial Assault dice. Knowing what options are on the dice you're rolling are extra important for determining the optimum range to attack at, and also when and which die you should be re-rolling when the option comes up, so that you are not re-rolling a die that is more likely to get worse than it is to get better. Speaking of playing online, the next resource to check out if you want to bring your skirmish games to the next level is Basil. No, not the board game podcaster. This is a special free program that lets players play tabletop games in a simulated 2D environment against other players. As a free program with very low graphics and system requirements, Basil is currently the most popular way to play the game online. It can take a little bit to get used to the program's controls, and fitting all of the windows onto a single screen, 2 monitors helps here, and the program still lacks a proper function to load a list from a list builder. But the module is updated very regularly by Trevor and has proven to be a workhorse and is the software of choice for online tournaments. Basil's built-in ability to log and replay games move by move has also proven to be extremely useful to the IACP committee for gathering data and comparing notes on playtesting sessions. Even if you aren't interested in playing online at all, I often fire up Basil in offline mode just to experiment with different opening setups for different lists on different maps and in different deployment zones. There is an alternative to Basil for online play, which is Tabletop Simulator, a 3D graphics program with actual physics that simulates a more tactile tabletop experience that is also regularly updated with new skirmish content from the IACP. But unlike Basil, it is not free and costs between $10 and $20 to download depending on if it's on sale. I already uploaded a tutorial for how to play IA Skirmish on Tabletop Simulator, so go check that out if you want to know more about it. But how do you find other players to play against? Join the IA online community. The most active place for talking about the game and finding people to play against with online is the Zion's Finest Slack channel. You can get added to this channel by sending an email to zionsfinestia@gmail.com, and one of the administrators will get you added in within the day most of the time. There's also Discord servers for Zion's Finest and IACP to look for games, and voice chat during a game. And you can also chat on the IACP subreddit or the Imperial Assault TMG subreddit pages. If you're looking to consume some strategy content about the game, the Built on Hope podcast is the last still active podcast dedicated to Imperial Assault Skirmish. The JodoCast still occasionally posts skirmish videos now and then, and sometimes we'll talk about Imperial Assault on their podcast, but usually it's about campaign or on the more casual side of skirmish. If you want to get some historical perspective on the skirmish game from one of the best players in the world, you can check out world champion Brett Kelly's blog rollfordamage.net, which has articles about the game, going back 3.5 years, and he also has a YouTube channel of recorded Basil games from his live stream. Similarly, the Zion's Finest podcast is a great resource for historical context on the game and some timeless episodes as well about general strategy. If you are interested in building your own local community and running tournaments once stores are able to reopen, Facebook groups is one of the best ways to organize a local gaming community. Imperial Assault Skirmish Command Post is the main existing hub for the general skirmish community on Facebook, but you should definitely check if there is already an IA Facebook group for your city, and if not, then you should make one. And finally, if you are someone who is into making your own custom cards, the Imperial Assault Kensei Tools Suite is an amazing tool for creating custom cards, and also includes a list builder as well. Sadly, it doesn't seem to export images at a high enough resolution for good printing, but it's a great way to quickly mock up what a card would look like, that you can share it online with other people, and does so in a way that matches the formatting that FFG uses on their cards. This is a tool that the IACP Steering Committee uses a lot during the initial design and testing phase of a season. So those are the main tools and websites that I use as an Imperial Assault player and community member. I'll definitely be putting links below in the video description, along with some that I didn't mention but are worth checking out. I will also say that almost all of these resources are completely free, but require a lot of work to create and maintain, and sometimes cash to maintain as well. So if you find yourself getting a ton of value out of them, please make sure to check out if they have a Patreon or donation page, and maybe send some dollars their way if you feel like they deserve to be rewarded for their hard work. If there's any other tools or sites that you use that I didn't mention here, make sure to let everyone know about it in the comments. Catch you guys later.